Hey everyone, welcome back to yet another episode on GenAI Vlog. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how to use Instructor library to create a custom persona using your OpenAI client. And by simply using natural language, you can build a persona into that client by creating different types of agent. So with that being said, let's turn our attention to the code. First things first, you want to pip install Instructor that gives you the library. And then you want to install and import these three libraries. Once that's set up, the first thing you want to do is define a custom persona. And this can be any customized class object in Python that you want. For example, here I'm going to define a class object. Very simple. We're going to call a user persona. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pass in this function called the base model, or that is imported from Pandantic, and that will pretty much give you the setup. And then this persona need to have a couple of characters, right? For example, name, I'm going to pass that as a string. For example, we're going to have age, that could be an integer, right? And then maybe we have interests. And in this case, interest might be a list of strings because one person might have multiple interests, right? So this give you a different variety of style of input variables that you can define in this class object. So once that's set up, we can run that code. Then you have this class object that's defined as a base model. So now once that's been done, set up your API key, set up your client with an API key, you're pretty much ready. So to set up this persona-backed client, you call the client library from OpenAI, call your chat completions, and then when you create this chat completion function, you can define a model that's consistent from before. Here's a novelty. When you define a response model, make sure you define it as a user persona. And then in the messages, you want to give a content such that you can answer these information using natural language. You do not have to go with that order. There's no required format whatsoever, right? We're just talking about natural language. So for example, I can say something like this. My name is Yiqiao, and I'm 32 years old. I love playing tennis, swimming, and jogging. So hopefully this able to recognize that's my name, right? It's a string, 32 years old, that is my age, and then I have a list of interest. So let's see how that works. Once we run this user persona will be defined, and then let's run some tests, right? So we want to make sure we can test this user persona object that we just defined, and that it comes with the correct information mapped into the class object arguments. So let's see how that works. Maybe we have a user persona, and then we say dot, and then we have a name. And that will give me each out, and that's exactly correct. Even its non-English name, it's able to recognize that, and it's a string, so all that makes sense to me. And then let's call user persona, and this time let's do age. And boom, there you go, it says 32, and then the age is integer. So that also makes sense because I'm 32 years old, and that's part of the prompt. The last thing I want to show you guys is the interests. So let's see if the interests are here. Boom, there you go. Here is a list of strings. So we have playing tennis, swimming, and jogging, and that all comes from this natural language. So there you go. Now you get the idea, right? If you start a conversation with this agent, with this particular persona, you will be having these variables carried over, and that will be in the memory. And hopefully this sparks some interest idea of yours to encourage you to develop your own large language model backed chat applications. So thank you for watching, like and subscribe.